I want to do an important one today on different kind of work you can do to build your network and how important that is. There's this workload you can do to develop specific skills, reviewing your trades, taking courses, education, which I don't talk as much on here about the how to because I think it's an art form. I will talk a little bit more about that sometimes, but unless I have charts and mock-ups and things which I could do on a show notes or expand to a website or something, maybe down the road I decide to do that, but it's not as interesting to me because it's, like I said, it's an art form, and you really have to get down and dirty and observe and discern a lot of things for yourself. You can't copy somebody, and you are going to be pulled to one style over another. Just because something's successful for one person doesn't mean it will be for you. And so it's kind of your own journey on that. But what I want to talk about, I think, is a really big shortcut to this is building your trading network. And I know we've talked about this a little bit, but we get more specific about it today. So I've just had my second kid, and it's been really hard to get things done, and it'll get a little easier, but I have less time than ever, and my market opens at 6:30 a.m. on my time zone, so it's really hard to digest all earnings reports, which is one strategy I used, some earnings winner stuff. So I had it in my head that I wanted to hire someone to do an hour a day of help on and presenting certain stuff to me the way I wanted it presented, so I didn't have to do it all myself and get up really early and then always be under the gun, and then I'm not able to do other trades because I'm consumed with a certain strategy. So I kind of had that in my head, and then another trader, a younger trader who's really serious about developing, has been talking to me a lot, is a listener to the podcast, or maybe heard me on some other podcast, and has just been kind of getting curious and sending me voice messages and talking a lot, asking questions. And then we've had an agreement now where he's going to do the work for me, and I'm explaining it to him and showing him a bunch of examples of what I want done. And I think it'll be good for him to add that to his strategy and have more contact. And it's just a great example of how, you put out there your intentions of what you want, and you get connected up with someone who has a similar energy, who needs something, and you have a mutually beneficial arrangement, and everybody kind of wins. And those shortcuts are so important. It's kind of like deal flow with venture capitalists or something like that. Maybe not as big of a deal as that, but it's kind of like, how you can supercharge things if you get in the right spot at the right time versus for both parties versus doing everything yourself and sitting in a corner. And I know some people like to be isolated, and that could be, and when you're really experienced, maybe that's a good thing to a point, because I think, like the last podcast on old versus new traders, you need to have fresh ideas and see young people and how they're doing things and not get crusty and stuck in your ways. But I think for me, I really fight against that as much as I can, even though I slip into it sometimes too. But it's really exciting for me because I got somebody now who's younger, who's interested in learning, and I have to explain what I'm doing better. I have to be cleaner about it, and then they have to just pick up and ask new questions that I might not have considered. It's just a really good thing. And the other thing is just like thinking about building that network up. It's you being curious, really, and just digging around and making connections with people who say things that you like or that you connect with. I'm on StockBee. I've met some people on there that I've gotten individual relationships with now that I text with all the time. We talk multiple times a week, sometimes even on the phone or little voice messages, and we're bringing ideas to each other and making ourselves stronger. We're learning more about each other's style, so it's complementary sometimes. It can be timely. They can see something that, like when you're experienced and you know what you're doing a little bit about what you're looking for, when someone says something, you know right away that, oh, I got to look at that. You'll just know. And a lot of times you can't see everything. So the more quality people and thinkers you surround yourself with, the better off you are. It's a huge shortcut. And I think it's just a massive advantage. And everyone who's good does that. I know that. And I've talked to Jesse Stein, I'm in his group. He does the super stock stuff. And then there's StockBee and a few guys I met there. And there's Fred, Lone Stock Trader. He has a great course on earnings. I learned a lot from him. I talk with him regularly. And then there's just a bunch of people that I met in my firm in Chicago who I talk with. And then you just pick that up, and you make an effort to do that, and you set an intention, and you look for that, you draw that to yourself by staying curious and by digging, and it really helps you out. It's a shortcut, and you'll cycle through stuff here and there, but for the most part, it's been straight positive for me. I mean, I've even met some good friends, some lifelong friends, just on the podcast, talking to people. So I want to put that out there, and I think this is more important than people give it attention. It's a super important thing. And I know now everything's virtual and digital, and it's hard because this might not be your personality to connect this way, or it's not like you're networking face to face as much, but it's definitely useful, and it can save you a lot of time. So think about putting more energy towards that if you're serious about it, or especially if it's something that you're strong at. Yeah, so that's kind of my inspiration for today.